So Bari Weiss is in the news. This is so perfect for this the context of this episode. So Bari Weiss who is I believe the editor-in-chief. She's the founder, and I believe the editor-in-chief of the Free Press, which is a glorified blog on Substack, which has become a truly like independent institution of news. And I don't want to demean Bari at all, even though I really can't stand Bari Weiss. And we'll get to that in a second. But so this news broke from Puck News, which I think is actually a pretty good outlet the other day, that said Bari Weiss is currently in talks with CBS News. CBS News. Like, if you want to, like Bari Weiss's whole thing, the reason why Bari Weiss got really famous is that she left the New York Times, the paper of record, quote unquote, because she didn't want to be a part of the mainstream apparatus anymore. And now, apparently, Bari Weiss is in talks to sell the Free Press to CBS News. CBS News, again, the most vanilla, white bread type of mainstream news organization out there. And she's going to apparently sell the Free Press, dump the Free Press, the institution she spent the last probably, 7 or 8 years building, for, I've heard upwards of $250 million. I've heard that's not going to happen, but I've heard the low end is $100 million for the Free Press, which is incredible. It's incredible. And it's a really big thing it's a really big deal for independent media. It says a lot about where CBS is, but I think it says more about what Bari Weiss is. I heard I think this might have been on Emily Jashinsky, who I love, was commenting on this on her show After Party a couple days ago, and I saw a YouTube comment where it says, when the Free Press became the bought press. I thought that was really funny. But anyways, so the big thing about this Bari Weiss and apparently the deal is that Bari Weiss is going to have complete editorial authority over CBS News. And so that's a huge development. And so we'll get to that in a second. But really the upset at Bari Weiss is coming from really two sides. It's coming from, one, the establishment side, which, going back to the point I mentioned about Bari now having editorial control, over CBS News, they are very upset, the people working at CBS News, that a quote-unquote independent journalist like Bari Weiss is going to come in and control everything, which she is, because Bari Weiss has wanted this for a long time, and we'll get to that in a second. Bari Weiss has never wanted to just be a lone wolf type of podcaster, journalist type person. That's not how she's wired. It's never been how she's wired. She's always wanted this moment for herself. And so CBS is terrified, because I think Bari is going to go in there and she's just going to like wax people left and right. You're fired. She's going to become Trump, honestly. Fired, out, whatever. And people are shaking in their boots over there, which to some degree makes me happy, because CBS News is a despicable organization, obviously, and that's, they deserve to be cleaned out, but I just would prefer if it was something other than Bari Weiss doing it. But anyways, and so the big thing, I think, and this is the thing that bothers me, and I think bothers a lot of people in independent media and independent journalists, people in the space like me and other people that are more prominent, obviously, but independent journalists view this, and I view this as selling, or independent journalists rather, let's stick to the journalism side. They view this as selling out. Oh my gosh, she's giving up her integrity, giving up her independence, whatever. She's selling out, she's cashing out, taking a fat check and running away, whatever. And so you have kind of this double-edged sword of criticism aimed at Bari Weiss. And apparently, according to the Puck News piece, this is about maybe like a week ago now, around a week ago, where the deal was on the 1 yard line. Is what someone, if they want to go down the comments, drop the article or comment the Puck News reporter. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he said the deal was on the 1 yard line. So this is going to happen probably within the next couple of weeks, I would think. It's just kind of about the raw number at this point. And that's interesting, because what do you value the Free Press at? And I almost worked for the Free Press. I applied to a couple jobs at the Free Press to be a reporter, to be a writer for them, a bunch of other things. And so Bari basically bootstrapped the Free Press from nothing. She built it off of Substack. It's now in a different form and fashion. And so I was thinking, where is the value from the Free Press going to come from? Why are they valuing this at $100 to $250 million? And, I thought about their email list and their connections to different, a lot of very influential people read the Free Press. So a lot of big contacts inside of there could be influential to CBS News who might want to do a whole rebrand of whatever. We'll see how that goes. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't really care, to be honest. But so you have the criticism from the establishment. You have the criticism from the independent folks. But I don't think Bari Weiss is doing either, personally. I don't think she's selling out, and I don't think that she's going totally mainstream, because I don't think she's going to, become this massive independent force inside of CBS. And the reason I don't believe either is because Bari Weiss was never truly independent. She never was truly independent. Never. Bari Weiss has never had a single countercultural thought in her entire life. She may have, in comparison to the other elite positions of authority over at the New York Times or something, or the Wall Street Journal, where she worked at before, but her positions are the most mainstream, again, white bread vanilla you can ever ask for. Like on everything from Israel to foreign wars to LGBTQ policy, they're not unorthodox at all. She is as mainstream can get. She's not an independent thinker whatsoever. Again, I go back to the mask off moment on Joe Rogan where she called Tulsi Gabbard an Assad toady. And she called her basically, a massive, she's Tulsi Gabbard is an appeaser, like she wants, you want the terrorists to win, like that kind of thing. And again, LGBTQ stuff, she's fully into that. She's very supportive of Israel, all of the mainstream opinions, all the foreign wars. She's a total neocon. She wants to bomb everywhere in the Middle East, all over the world. She wants to be in the Ukraine, all that kind of stuff. So I never had a good feeling about Bari Weiss. Even when I was following Bari Weiss early, I said, when she left the New York Times back in, I think 2018, 2019, this is when this kind of happened. And, she goes on Rogan and she's talking to, Douglas Murray and a couple other people. I'm like, I don't know about this woman. I really don't know about this woman. I don't trust her. I never trusted Bari Weiss. And so now I think this is the second mask off moment. If the Rogan one was the first one where she basically came after Tulsi Gabbard and called her a toady, which is so stupid. I can get into that's another episode for another day. But Bari Weiss, at the end of the day, is a Trojan horse. She is a Trojan horse into the freedom media space and the independent media space. And she's admitting that now, by the way. She was in the cool kids club. She was in the warm embraces of the mainstream media apparatus. And really all that she's been doing over the past 7 years and building up the free press and building a non-traditional independent media institution. Notice, she had a podcast called, I believe, either Honestly or Common Sense with Bari Weiss that's still out there. She still does it, I believe. And she had the free press. But she didn't do it like a podcast. She didn't build an independent media company like Megyn Kelly has built, or like Blaze Media, or like Tucker Carlson, or the Daily Wire. She built it into the most corporate style independent media ecosystem in the independent media space. So what Bari Weiss was doing was building a new ticket in to the cool kids club. She was just waiting for her opportunity, waiting for an opportunity to pounce. Only this time, this is the key word, this is the key concept, with her owning the place. So she did not own the place at the New York Times, clearly. She had to answer to, I believe, Dean Baquet was the editor back in the day. He might still be, but I know Dean Baquet was there. He didn't like Bari Weiss. And so Bari Weiss, at the end of the day, is just another plant. She's a plant. That's all she is. She is installed by herself and by our ruling class, by our elites, to push a narrative, again, because she does not believe anything that is countercultural to the narrative, anything at all, to push a narrative inside of the independent media movement. And she's been exposed in that. And a lot of people are being exposed in that. Dave Rubin's been exposed in that. Jeremy Boring has been exposed in that. All of the rest of these independent media, quote-unquote, people, they're turning out to be complete and utter frauds when it comes to actual independent media and thought. They have no diversity of opinion compared to, mainstream news sources. None whatsoever. Bari Weiss is a flaming leftist, always has been a flaming leftist. Same with Dave Rubin, same with Jeremy Boring, same with the rest of them. They're closeted leftists. They're closeted corporate media types. Dave Rubin came from the Young Turks. Jeremy Boring came from Hollywood. Bari Weiss came from the New York Times, came from the Wall Street Journal. There's nothing independent about any of these people, any of them at all. And so Bari Weiss, like much of our establishment class, is bought and paid for and has been for her whole life. And this CBS deal, which is going to be the biggest cash out in the history of independent media. I know the Daily Wire was once valued, I think, at like $1 billion, which I think is kind of nuts, but that's fine. Nothing against Daily Wire. I think Daily Wire is actually, they're way more valuable than the free press as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I don't agree with a lot of independent journalists. But what I will say is at least they have the guts to stand on business and avoid selling out to make sure that the truth is preached. At least they do that. Bari Weiss has never done that. Bari Weiss is as establishment beholden as anybody in the media space right now. She is not independent whatsoever. And this CBS deal proves it. This is not only to get a massive payday for Bari Weiss. This is to assert a narrative controlled by her into a corporate media institution. Because if she really gets editorial control over CBS News, which I think she's going to, because Bari has the leverage in this scenario, CBS has no leverage. Bari Weiss has all the leverage here. And good for her in that sense. She did build something that's cool and something that's valuable, way more valuable than CBS News. So this is a tactic that Bari Weiss is now leveraging to become what she is always meant to be and what she's always wanted to be, an elitist, establishmentarian shill who looks down on everybody else. That's always what Bari Weiss has been. That's always what she's wanted. That's always what she's wanted. And people are acting shocked. Like I was listening to Megyn Kelly's show the other day with Glenn Greenwald talking about this. Glenn wasn't shocked, but Megyn was like, why is she doing this? She doesn't want to be like Megyn Kelly. She doesn't want to be like Glenn Greenwald or Tucker or Matt Taibbi or Glenn Beck or Nicole Shanahan or any of these other people. She wants to be like Dean Baquette. She wants to be like Jeff Zucker. She wants to be one of these highbrow, drinking an old-fashioned on the Upper East Side, if Bari Weiss drinks old-fashions. I don't know if she does or not. But it's like, it's just so revealing about, again, it's like high school. Bari Weiss was in the Cool Kids Club. She got kicked out of the Cool Kids Club. And now she has built her way back. She's built her reputation back and is now begging for acceptance again in the Cool Kids Club when it comes to mainstream media. And people are shocked about it, but I'm not. I'm just not. I always thought this is who Bari Weiss was. No unorthodox opinions, no non-mainstream opinions, no real challenge to power structure that is meaningful. And now she has all the leverage and all the authority in the world to do whatever the heck she wants. And good for Bari Weiss again from that sense. Good for her. But if people think this is some kind of a victory or some kind of thing that should be celebrated, I would just say be careful what you wish for. Because Bari Weiss, when she runs CBS News, is going to be no different than the people who currently run CBS News. Yeah, she'll fire a lot of people. She'll get people out of there. She'll put new journalists in. She'll install her free press people inside of there. That's fine. But when you look at it from that perspective, it's not going to change much. And CBS News is a dying organization anyway. This is where the independent media folks have a point. What is Bari Weiss trying to prove here? And that's the only conclusion I can come to. She wants to be an elite. She wants to be a shill. She wants to be an establishment important person, quote unquote, that gets invited to all the parties and does all the things that, the highbrow organizations that independent journalists don't enjoy. She's an elite. She's always been elite. And she wants to get back in that club. That's the only thing that makes sense. And that's the reason why Bari Weiss's CBS deal is happening.